As we mark the 20th anniversary of the attacks of September 11th, 2001, I'm reminded of where I was on that awful day. Here on the West Coast, I was just getting ready to head off to school, and I watched on the news as the planes hit the buildings, and I knew that everything was about to change. I felt small, I felt uncertain, I felt helpless. I remember sitting in the stunned silence of that morning and saying a small prayer that went something like this: Lord, I don't even know what to say, but please come and help us. 20 years later, a lot has changed about our country. We've seen examples of indescribable heroism as men and women from around the nation worked for years at a terrible cost to themselves and their families in order to defend the rest of us. We've also seen too many examples of how fear and suspicion became part of our national DNA. We looked on strangers and even our friends with a more cynical eye. The uncertainty, grief, anger, and the unspoken side effects of the national traumas we've sustained through years of war, of financial crisis, political tribalism, they've all created a somber counterpoint to the moments of our coming together in the wake of the events of 20 years ago. As Christians, we're witnesses to the fact that the world can be shaken, that it cannot hold itself up, and that we cannot make it permanent. We learned 20 years ago that our world can be shattered, and we've learned in 20 years that our efforts to put the world back together have not always had the effect we intended. As Christians, we are never permitted to count on things remaining peaceful and stable, but we are always called to have hope and not to despair, always to set forth as much as we are able peace and stability. Today, we remember those who were lost on 9/11, those who were lost in the years that followed in the shadow of 9/11. We remember with a somber resolve that this world is not our home, but as those called to love the countries to which we are called as citizens, we remember that our duty as followers of Jesus means to love our country, to love our neighbors in our country, to mourn our country's tragedies, to celebrate our country's victories, and to practice virtue and holiness in all our homes, work, and leisure, bearing witness to Christ the King and the kingdom that has no end. May the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. May light perpetual shine upon them, and may they rise again in glory in the resurrection on the last day. Amen.